Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Second Kings podcast. Today we are doing another reaction to the Jubilee channel. This video, Can Satanists and Major Religions See Eye to Eye? This is another middle ground. This was recommended to us on Reddit. So, or by somebody, a comment on Reddit, so we're responding now. My name is Lane. I'm here with Ross and Wyatt, and we're gonna go ahead and get into it.
Thanks for the intro.
Sir.
That's all you got?
I mean, you said everything. You could
Skip to the first question.
Are you going a little stir crazy? We're
Such a hype. The invitation that God...
Link down below and follow us on Instagram for additional information.
The invitation that God gives to the people that he made is so generous and came at such a high price to him.
High price, he gave up a weekend.
He
gave up a weekend.
Right.
He might be right there. Like, is
What
it
does that
really a
even
high
mean?
price, though?
Yes.
Oh, it is, dude.
Bro.
What do you mean?
What?
He died. He manifested himself
that's
in
what-
human form and suffered.
That's okay. That's what he means
Both
by high
physically
price.
suffered by like being nailed to a cross, but also like the spiritual and like emotional weight of like when he's on the cross, like he is bearing the entire burden of every sin.
No,
Ever.
and
Like all
where
the
I took
guilt,
high
all the
price
suffering,
was like
all of that.
it's God, so it's like it's whatever.
He could just snap his fingers.
Right.
Or
That's where I went with that. But you are right. You are
yeah.
right.
It's also like
He just doesn't get it.
crucifixion.
Hopefully he
And-
says exactly what you said.
What Lane was saying, like on the cross, Jesus was treated like he was an unrighteous sinner, like got full of God's wrath. Like whenever people are being martyred, like there's like stories. I don't remember who. Maybe it was Polycarp, but they were like being burned or something. It was like sweet Jesus. It wasn't because Polycarp died from like a spear. But
Well,
it's like
they
these
tried to burn
martyrs-
him, but like it didn't work.
Yeah, but like these martyrs had the comfort of like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Jesus, like this was like the full wrath of God, like on the cross. Like
That
he
is
was
true.
he was being treated as a sinner.
Yeah.
And he was also
because
perfect,
he had-
undeserving, and yeah.
Dang. Too bad you
Very
won't know
high
him in
price.
heaven.
I am a Presbyterian pastor.
I'm a Hindu.
I'm Muslim.
Hi, I'm Lois. I'm a Satanist.
Ooh,
Scary.
kind of spooky.
So there's one Christian, and they're Presbyterian, which is Reformed, which is Calvinism.
should we say that
Predestination.
we are not Presbyterian? Is that, I mean, we don't really have to. I guess,
We
Are not
we follow
Presbyterian.
Jesus.
say that. We are
so-
Christians.
Presbyterians definitely are Christians. We aren't Presbyterian, but I think that he'll probably still be good.
To be honest, when I heard of Satan,
I mean, how could you be on that side after seeing that edit? That
But
was
the thing is-
Jubilee. I'm liking what
No,
they're doing with
but
this.
no, but Jubilee like thinks it's cool. Is the thing they were making it look cool.
But look at the difference here. I don't really want to rewind, but I have
Ross,
to.
no, it's not worth.
No, I can fast forward. Whenever it goes to this, like music,
It's really.
I went too far.
Right.
No, it's so weird. Look at this. This is cool. People might worship
You're
those.
hovering over the Hindu.
Oh. Well,
I
like the
am a
music.
Presbyterian.
hi,
I
I'm
hope it's
Lois.
not like demonic.
As long as you don't.
To be honest, when I heard of Satanists, my first reaction was something that does not align with my core beliefs.
I think of like a lot of darkness and evil and lostness.
When I think of Abrahamic faith, I think of slaughterings and burnings and mutilations, all in the name of God. To myself, I don't actually have
Name one.
I mean,
an image or a person or a thing that I think of when I think of Satan.
Probably wouldn't be too hard. But
Name one.
Abrahamic religion, I think the
circumcision.
I will say I think
What?
I think that. I mean, that my mutilation.
that's what he's talking about there.
Like in the name of God.
There's so
That doesn't
Origin, Lane. I don't think you're there yet on the podcast because like you would know if you got to Origin.
I
But
might have just not
he-
been listening that day.
It's like there's like he's talking about like in 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, then no way.
And he was like really famous. Some people call him a heretic. I don't know if he actually was. I actually don't think he was, but he was like super critical over like scripture, like was cross-referencing like different translations like really early on, like I think like 2nd, maybe 3rd century. But he was known for taking a very like non-literal approach to scripture interpretation. But he read like the 1 Corinthians like 7 maybe, where it's like some people are like supposed to be like eunuchs or something. I don't know if that's, maybe it's somewhere else. And he like castrated himself. And like a word got out about that, and I think it's pretty bad for him. But so maybe that's what he's talking about with mutilation.
Also, like,
I don't think
Jesus dying on the cross.
What about it?
Burnings, torture, what did he say? Mutilations.
I mean, Jesus like willingly died.
Yeah.
Slaughtering.
I don't
Obedience
think
to
he's
the
talking
death.
about willing like suffering.
But I think he's more talking about like Christians caring. But no, I guess
I
you're
think-
right.
I
That's
think
in
he's-
the
I think
name of
he's-
God.
Yeah, because the
but
Jews,
it's willing.
That's a good, because it's like Paul in the name
It
of.
was the Romans.
God
I think
was
he's talking
also-
about the Crusades, probably, is what he's really talking about here. And
I mean,
Arc.
Crusades, like the, like 9/11. I mean, that was in the name of God.
I guess that is an Abrahamic belief.
Yeah.
See, he's not against Muslims, though. He's against Christians.
But he said
No,
Abrahamic,
he's
which
probably
means
against
Jews,
all.
Christians, and Muslims.
Yeah.
I was mainly joking there. But
Oh.
it was
Pretty unclear.
sarcasm.
Maybe like regret.
What I know is
burning.
all the wars and conflicts, only 7% of them were religious.
And 3% of them were Christian.
Or 3% if you take out.
Things and
It does matter.
mutilations, all
But
So the vast majority of wars and conflicts throughout history have been caused by for secular reasons. So
Yeah.
his whole hypothesis kind of falls here, especially in modern times and in the 20th
Yeah.
century.
And also, this is like just kind of like making this video take longer. But Abrahamic religions, like I think people have to acknowledge like it's got to be one of. I feel like it'd be easy to narrow it down to one of those 3. Like the only like Hindu is like kind of a national like cultural religion, whereas same with like Judaism. But like I think the spread of like Christianity and Islam is like a very big like testament to those
the
religions.
thing about Islam is
It's wrong. I agree.
Pot over.
We figured it out, guys.
okay, we need to keep going.
Or
Name
wait,
of
you
God.
could. I want to
You're
hear
kinda
it.
cooking.
I want to hear it.
All I was gonna say is like, it is number one. It's like Christian fan fiction, like Mormonism. Number one, it's like it's a knockoff of Christianity.
Well, they didn't read
obviously.
Galatians 1.
And 2, Islam historically and in modern times is forced upon people. Yeah, it always has been.
Jihad.
Christianity, the same cannot be said. Christianity
Yeah.
is always willingly chosen,
And-
even back then. I mean,
Even
maybe it gets
Crusades.
fishy with Crusades. I
We
don't
should
really
talk
know.
about those.
But I think the Crusades was not so much about forcing conversion, but in taking back the Holy Land.
Mhm.
And then maybe in
Yeah.
part of that, maybe there was some. I don't really know.
I don't think so.
Maybe it gets shady, but I mean, if you look at the bare bones of it, at least like early Christianity versus early Islam was very much about like killing people and forcing them to convert to Islam.
Yeah.
Early Christianity was not about that at all. It was willing. It was willing conversion, and it was willingness to die for it,
In a
not
time of
killing people
persecution.
for it. Right, in a time of persecution,
Yeah.
and that's especially true in modern times too. Like Christianity is very much, we want you to choose to do it. Islam is we want to force you to do it. And so that when you look at like the spreads and the influence of them, it's very important to remember Christianity has spread being a choice. Islam has spread because it's being forced.
Yeah, and Christianity too, like if you go off the Bible, like people could be like, oh, this Christian did this and he was bad. That's not what Christian, like if you look at the teachings in the Bible, an example is like the Christians were persecuted so heavily by the Roman government,
Mm-hmm.
and they still submitted to the Roman government. Because from the Christian point of view,
It's a future pod.
like
we're
we
doing.
should be like the best citizens there are. So
Yeah.
really, Christians should be causing no conflicts. Like we should be
Save
loving
this for the-
everyone.
for the
Mass
team
mandates.
pod. Save this for the pod.
Yeah, we'll maybe talk about that later. But it's like,
We are a minute 30 in.
oh, but how long did it stop recording?
No.
Okay,
10
we're good.
minutes.
I was scared. We'll continue.
I also have something to say. Something that's interesting is, like, Christianity and Islam come from the same place, like same, like, Middle East, whatever.
Same with
but
Judaism.
and Judaism, yeah. But Islam is like the demographic is mainly like Arab or like African countries, whereas like Christianity is, why is it so white?
Europe.
This is a proof on the incarnation, not the white part specifically, but he says like, well, so number one, I don't know. I want to agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I believe the most Muslim country is Indonesia. That's like a fact I think is in my head.
No, I think you're right.
So that's not like
Really?
Arab Africa. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. So that's just something
Islam
to consider.
is growing. I think at a more.
I think it's
rapid
actually
rate
illegal to be Christian in Indonesia.
But
I know
There's a lot of.
Athanasius on the end card near the end, one of the proofs for Christianity is he's like, before Christianity, religions were always very constrained to individual countries. Like, never ever would country X worship country Y's god. That would never happen. They would never, unless they got conquered by them or they started following their practices because they became citizens of the other country, whatever. Never would like Egyptians worship Syria's gods. Like, that just never ever happened until Christianity is when everything changed and Christ conquered all, which is because he fulfilled the Abrahamic covenant and the Abrahamic promise where God tells Abraham, from your descendants I will unite Jew and Greek, or Jew and Gentile rather.
Yeah.
I will unite the world. I forget the exact thing in Genesis, but basically the whole world will be united through your bloodline, which is of course Christ.
And like all nations will be blessed through the offspring.
Yes, there we go. That's
or
exactly
your
it.
seed
All
or whatever.
nations will be blessed. And never ever before Christ were other people worshiping someone else's god. And so Athanasius is like, well, so what happened? Jesus happened, and that's why this is happening. He's like, what other change could you attribute to this?
And now we can't unpause it because I
Well,
have
one
more
more
to
thing.
say.
Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe, also.
That's true.
True.
So it
And we
is
see
just
that
kind
in
of
Acts.
interesting to
Yeah,
see.
I
Source
just
for
read
that
that.
is me in the last Jubilee video.
Yeah.
Source is actually Cliff.
Well, source is
A
actually
black guy on a cliff.
But I know that exact YouTube short you're talking about. It is
but
good.
also-
Oh yeah,
on, like,
I've seen that clip too.
On the Indonesia thing, like, I'm not sure if like the population of Indonesia will equate to like the population of the
Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know like what
But-
percent. I just know I think Indonesia is the highest Muslim population. I could be wrong.
No. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
But-
It doesn't really matter.
I do know. I think in India, or maybe it's Malaysia. I think maybe it's Indonesia. One of those
Where's
countries
the-
over there, it's illegal to be Christian, and because I know a missionary from church who is there, and they have to do like it secretively.
Where's the Malaysian airline flight?
God, possibly.
Okay, are we good
In
here?
Agartha.
No, because it's kind of fresh on my mind because I literally just learned this today because I was listening to the podcast. But so like in Greek philosophy, this is kind of related to what you were saying, Lane. They were saying like what one of the guys, I forgot his name, it started with a C, but he was like a
C.S. Lewis.
Greek philosopher, like intellectual, who was responding to like Christianity at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying like his philosophical take was, okay, each country should just worship the God that they were traditionally worshiping, because then ultimately it's a way to worship like that actual God. And obviously Christianity was like super opposed to this because like it's against Christianity. But that's like some backing at the time too, where it's like each country had their own idols, and then it's like again what you said, what Athanasius said, it's like everyone would throw away their own idols,
Like
neighbors
generations. Like these
Yes.
people, like for generations and generations, worshipped the same gods, and then just almost seemingly on a whim threw that all away for Christ, which like no one had ever seen anything like that. And Athanasius is like, how could you possibly explain this if this is not the one true God? Why else would these people throw away everything that they've been taught for their entire lives, their parents, their grandparents' lives? if he's not the one true God.
Because this video is going to be 5 hours long, we can also talk about this.
We have to actually react.
Another response to the same... How do you know we've been talking too long? Wait, no, this is important. This is important.
Make sure it's recording.
Okay. It is.
Image or a person or a thing that I think...
Pause. Another response by that same guy that I was talking about, the philosopher. Lane is like literally leaving, like rage quitting. I'm going to tell you why, and the viewers. But something to recognize was also Jews were throwing around their rooted tradition. Like, a lot of Israel did not accept Jesus, but Jews, there's still like a remnant of them that were saved. Paul being one of them, threw away all their traditions, all their fathers' traditions for Christianity, which is like, I don't think people understand like that these Jews were converting, and to convert to Christianity is committing the worst sin that they could possibly commit. That really shows their true faith. Like Peter, his conversion, he got crucified upside down, and you know, he was like a really prominent leader in the early church. Like, because he is a Jew, him abandoning those traditions and worshiping Jesus as God, so significant. Same with Paul, James, like everyone else. But now we're going to start the video back up because we're 1 minute.
We may
no,
need to restart.
no, this is good.
No, we don't need to restart.
1 minute and 30 seconds.
We actually have to react.
But it has to. But it's good because it's us talking though.
Satan, the Arabic word for Satan is shaitan. He's what's whispering in your ear in a sense of trying to
I'm just kidding.
lead you away from God.
Tell me a little bit more about the Temple of Satan. What is that?
One of the things I like about it personally is that they are actively fighting to make sure that every religion has a chance to have a say right now in this country.
I'm approaching this with
That's nice.
a spirit of curiosity.
He means every religion except for Christianity.
I know.
Love to ask questions and hear more about the perspectives of the people that I'm going to be talking to.
And as for the major religions,
Good take.
I hope to understand why they stayed within their religion if they were born into it, or I hope to understand how they justify their beliefs.
Okay, my name's Sean Gendel. I'm a Presbyterian pastor. I'm married to my wife Kelly, and we have 3 children.
I'm Amr Isa. I'm 19 years old. I'm Muslim. I was born and raised in a Muslim household. Muslim my whole life. It's a big part of who I am.
My name is Jason Turgeon. I'm 33. I'm a Satanist. I was raised Christian and have somewhat recently converted.
My name is Ragini.
Rip.
I was born and raised in India, and then I moved here for grad school, and currently I'm a director at Jubilee Media, and I'm Hindu.
I'm Lois. I'm 23,
Going in-house though.
and I'm a Satanist, and I was raised Jewish.
My name is Richard Lale. I'm older than I like to tell people. I'm a Satanist. I was raised Christian, but I am a Satanist.
Can I get my Satanists back there on the left and members of major religions on the right?
That guy is truly trying to pretend he is the devil.
He's cosplaying.
He is kind of putting on a show in a way with the way it seems like he's talking to me.
Is. I would say yes to this question.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Jesus talks more about hell than he does heaven.
Is that true? Ross was telling me
I saw it on a YouTube short.
I mean,
I think it was Mike
it's
Winger,
true.
so yes.
Is a real place.
So this right here, this is our guy. If you're him, you want to talk in every single one.
For sure.
And you're also if you're on this side, it's you against everyone. I think Hindus maybe not. Hindus don't really care that much about conversion because they believe in a billion gazillion gods.
Is that the one where they don't eat cows? Because I think people become
I think
cows.
so.
I believe that's true.
I think there's reincarnation.
Like a skin
Maybe
walker.
I'm wrong with this take. I'm pretty uninformed. But Muslims, they're big on converting.
Are they?
Oh yeah, they're big on specifically converting Christians.
I've never ever been approached or
Well, you live in
Muslims
a
are
non-Muslim area.
Yeah, Muslims are very big on
I mean, I still
Jesus
feel
wasn't God.
Never once.
If
I knew
this guy,
them in high. I knew a few.
if
in high
I'm
school.
this Christian, I am almost going to focus more on these two, I feel like, than the Satanists. I mean, obviously still address the Satanists and talk to them and try to bring them around, but I feel like it's almost more important and maybe more relevant and easier
because
to get these guys on board.
Say there's at least supernatural.
Right, yeah.
Like there's a God.
And the Muslim guy, there's a lot of common ground.
Yes, yeah.
And so focus on them and bringing them around would be my approach if I was this guy on Jubilee.
Are Satanists just like atheists? Like
We
they
will
don't think
find out.
supernatural things?
It's a meme.
I don't actually know, like, when I try to think of what hell looks like to me, I don't think it's how it's been in movies or...
I wonder how, because he's young, like I wonder how like Muslim, like traditionally, like he's gonna be, like how Orthodox.
I think very.
Yeah, I think he's like.
I think
he's a
Muslims
sleeper.
this-
He's a sleeper.
If he's doing this and he's like, I've been raised in it's very important to me, I'd say he's probably very.
Yeah, because I feel
I don't
like
think Orthodox is the right word, but I know what you're trying to say.
yeah, I feel like more typically though Muslims are, they could show
Our
their
age?
faith more than like.
Oh.
There's like a lot of nominal Christians. I'd say way more so than nominal Muslims.
I think there's like, I forget the words. It's like Shia and
Sharia.
something. No, it's not Sharia. But there's like two different groups of Muslims. One is more like conservative. One is more progressive.
But like no
And I
Muslim's
forget.
gonna be like
Not politically. but, like,
LGBTQ
Islamically.
affirming, right?
No, those are like the progressive ones.
Those exist.
Yeah, like lesbians for Hamas or whatever.
Queers for Palestine.
But are those
Yeah.
Muslim or do they
Some
just
of
like
them,
hate
yeah.
Israel?
No, some of them. Now these people live like in America, but they claim to be Muslim. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
People just talk about like some fiery inferno.
It's like Sheena
I believe in an
and
afterlife where there is a kind of a good place and a bad place, where what you do here kind of determines where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
Yeah, figure it out.
One of the signs that
Also, that guy's focusing on works.
there is something greater than us out there is that we see something beautiful that we want someone to express our thanksgiving to and our worship towards. And in the same way, on the opposite end of the spectrum, when there are terrible deeds or acts that are committed by humans towards one another, that there also needs to be a place of justice. And so I
like what he's saying here with like justice, like that. I think people like really underplay that, but that is like a big testament to like God's righteous and good character, to whereas like, you know, God is just, and it's actually a good thing that we all stand before God for our actions down here. Some people have done some terrible, wicked things that they haven't like repented of. They haven't changed. They just stayed in their sin, and obviously I don't really want anyone to go to hell, like, because that's worse for them, right? And because there is this free gift that is given to everyone, where Jesus took everyone's sin on the cross if you accept it. But it's like, I think that people do want justice, but they just can't connect in their head that the justice would be the separation of God, which these people also like don't want. Like these people don't want a relationship with God. They don't like the God of the Bible.
It's Sunni and Shia Muslims. One is,
Thank you.
I believe, one is more progressive. One is more. Like,
Are these? I thought those were like kind of different regions, right?
I don't really.
Because aren't they like at war with each other, or like there's like some?
Yeah.
It sounds like
subsects?
Rwanda, like the Hutu and the Tutsi.
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah, with War Machine.
Yeah.
I can't
He's
think of
a
his name.
scroll, by the way.
I believe that
Spoilers, dude.
Only after, like,
Civil War.
no, it's not even Civil War. It's like after Falcon and Winter Soldier or something is what they came out and said.
Oh, no
So it's
impact
like-
on the story.
Yeah, so literally no one cares.
there is a heaven and that there is a hell, and that the gift of grace that God offers us is so generous that for those who reject it, that there has to be a place of judgment. So, yeah.
Can I get my disagreeers to come in?
So good he's focusing on grace here and not works.
Needed. That's what
I
separates
know
him
that.
from
That
everyone
I know that
else.
guy was like the
No,
things
well,
you
that,
do
'cause
here
because that's
determine where
every
you
other
go.
religion except for Christianity is works based.
Yeah.
Except for, yeah, literally.
I don't even really know.
everything.
She's Hindu, right? I don't even really know what. Is there like
We'll
a
probably
reincarnation?
I think it
or
is
something
reincarnation.
Yeah,
like
there
that?
is. There is. That's why they don't eat cows, I believe.
I
that's
think
like
I
the
am
most
pretty
holy animal.
uninformed. So it's like, do you want to be a cow?
I think so.
Like cow over person?
I don't know. I don't know
What?
about
Like there's no
that. Maybe
way.
cow's like second best.
I think
I don't
Hindus
know.
too.
Blade of grass is
So-
third best.
This is maybe a little bit weird, but a lot of Hindus go to my school. A lot of Indians. I think
Feather or Dot?
Dot. So like they're from India, and there's like a lot, like huge from my understanding, which is very minimal here. There's like huge like segregation and like classes, like social classes.
Oh, castes.
In India.
They have a caste system.
And
still.
this has to deal with like reincarnation, like your
Yeah.
works. But it's also like there's groups that are like super hateful to other groups.
Yeah.
Like super
Big time.
racist. And it's like
It's not even racist. It's like caste. It's like you're born into like, I think there's like 5 castes or something, and there's like, it's all based on like your lineage, and it's like if you're born in like the lower lineage, like you're like dirt, and if you're born in like the upper ones, you're treated better. Someone was explaining this to me one time.
yeah. Which is like just pretty sad.
Either way, very good he's focusing on grace.
Yeah.
Because hell is the best proof of God's grace and love. I mean, not the best proof.
Especially because
But like his like
It's the worst.
if there was because his grace saves us from hell, and if there's no hell, there's nothing to save us from. Then what is
Nothing
his
to
grace?
choose.
Yes.
What is his love?
and it's also
If
what we
everyone's
deserve.
super, no one will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personally, I would never worship a god. They would send someone to an eternal lake of fire to be burned forever for the simple fact of non-belief, when that deity knows what it would take to convince every single person on this planet. That is cruel, it is inhumane, it is not kind, it is not generous, and that is not a god worthy of worship.
He doesn't think Hitler deserves that?
No. I mean, it's like
What does he want God to do that he has not already done?
this is the what this
Put
is.
up a billboard?
Yeah.
Divine billboards.
What this is though is this is the classic I am more righteous than God. It's like here's me saying something, I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna like no one has ever thought
It's
about
also
this.
like
And it's it turns out this God that you're worshiping, he's actually like evil and like he could like convince everyone, but he doesn't. But it's like he wants this choice.
It's also, I think the logical fallacy is called like moving goalpost or something like that, where it's like, oh well, if God would just do this, then I'd believe. And then it's like, but even if God did that, then it'd be like you would move the goalpost and be like, oh well, now he has to do this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like no matter what threshold God crosses, there's always he will never. It'll never.
I
be
one
enough.
time saw this video, and it was like this atheist and I think it was William Lane Craig debating, and he was like, William Lane Craig is like, what would it take? And he would be like, if God came down and when I was sleeping and he came to me, he said his name, and he was like, I am real and do not be afraid and believe in me, and that is exactly what would happen for me to believe. And then William Lane Craig hits him with like this one liner that's very famous, and he says like, wouldn't you just think that's a hallucination? So it's literally like nothing will. Sometimes people's hearts are so hardened that nothing will convince them. And I think Ross has told me a few times, like a good question to ask people is, if you knew it to be true, would you still follow it, or would you follow it? And a lot of people will still say no, or at least they maybe will say yes, but it's not a truthful yes. So that's just what I see from this guy.
Yeah. There's also I think his name is Richard Dawkins. Does that sound like an atheist name?
Yeah.
But he's like alive today?
Yes.
Okay, I think I saw a YouTube video on him,
Very
and maybe
cringe.
I'm mixing up with somebody else, but I think he has said that there is nothing that could possibly convince him of God. Like, if God, like, talks to him or whatever, like, even that wouldn't be enough because he thinks it's so unlikely and, like, impossible that he would not believe it. Which, maybe I'm talking about somebody else. I think it was him. But it's still, like, people don't want there to be a God because they don't want an authoritative thing telling them how to, like, how you should live, what's good, what's right and what's wrong. And this guy here, from his point of view, it's like, oh, I know better than God. I'm more righteous.
Just so you know,
What's
we're
more, it would
30
be
minutes in.
damning
It's good, though.
the vast majority of everyone who's ever existed for not believing in him for a set of rules that he created.
To be fair, I feel like this presupposes that to burn in hell means that you don't believe in God. I'm sure that there are religions, and I know that there are people who believe that hell is a place for murderers, you know. And when I was Jewish, we didn't believe in hell. They didn't even talk about the devil.
Okay, I kind of want to read this. Sorry.
Wait, that's wrong.
Well, yeah,
A lot of sane theology is
Christianity, maybe Islam, I'm not 100%, but I believe Christianity is the only religion that believes in eternal hell. Like, I think even Islam maybe believes you can, like, once you die, you can work your way up out after death. I know, and I think Judaism does too. Like, there is a hell, but it's more like a Hades, like a purgatory, and eventually over time you can work your way out. Hell,
I think Mormons also believe you can like work your way.
Yeah.
Well, Mormons believe the only people who go to hell. True, this is Mormonism preservation video coming someday, but Mormons believe the only people who go to hell are those who were Mormons and left the Mormon faith. That's the only thing that people are felt.
Interesting. So,
according to Jewish teachings,
kind of some fear
hell is not entirely physical, rather than be compared to a very intense feeling of shame. People are ashamed of their misdeeds, and
is that
kind of came upon it myself.
That is
sure.
Fear tactic.
Okay, wait, don't unpause.
We're talking too much.
No,
I believe that.
Good. So, shoot. What was I thinking?
In the event that we have spirits and they will go on to some other realm, it's probably more of a nebulous place than a physical hell, lake, fire, everything.
I don't even believe we have souls necessarily.
Okay, so this is what I was going to say.
Then what's your conscience?
So, yes, Christianity most generally is eternal hell, but there are annihilationists, and I don't think it's
not heretical.
A heretic.
Yeah, I agree.
So there are people that believe
like final judgment is when like
the eternal lake of fire
is the people who were in hell, like the final judgment, they'll be like actually
they like
destroyed.
Cease to exist.
Like
it's not the most general.
They have a second chance,
but there is actually like I haven't done a deep dive.
Chance.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying
it's like they just
the people
stop
in
existing.
hell they will not be souls. Their souls will be destroyed.
Yeah, and then also another thing that I've heard that I thought was really good. I think it was Mike Winger that said it, but he's like, people are like, how could there just be like this eternal punishment in hell? But what Mike Winger says is like, you're assuming that people aren't going to continue to sin in hell, and that's probably going to be like the most sinful play. I mean, separation from God. So there's that. So it's like the punishment continues.
Even if they don't, I still think they.
Yeah, I mean, God is just and fair, and I mean they got treated fair for going to hell. If you get God's grace, you get treated more than fair. But then also Origen, I think I talked about him earlier, for too long. But this guy, really prominent member in the early church. Some people think he's a heretic, and I think this is one of his point of views. And it was like he thinks that there is hell, but it's like eventually everyone will be like reconciled to God. It just takes some time. This was very controversial, and a lot of people didn't like it. In fact, I don't like it.
It's universalist.
It is universalist, but not immediately. It's a different type of it, but I still think it's wrong.
What I know is the first Jubilee video was 50 minutes, and our reaction was 2.5 hours. This is under 30, and at this rate, we're going to be over 3 hours.
But there's going to be long periods coming up
major.
without pausing.
I'd like to see some evidence
like
before I believe
barely
something like
believe.
that. Yeah.
Classic no evidence. God's supernatural, bro.
Reddit atheist.
Also, like, look at the crucifixion. I think that is pretty sufficient historical evidence compared
he's saying he wants evidence that we have souls.
But this is what I'm saying, though. You look at the crucifixion, you see that if you judge it by any standard that you judge any other history by,
he
if
wants
that's
evidence
sufficient,
that we have souls.
Let me finish.
That's what he's talking
If
about.
that's sufficient, if Jesus died on the cross and then rose from the dead, then you could back every claim in the Bible.
That we're even conscious, let alone like I'm about to have an existential crisis up here.
I think the historical Christian
maybe you need Jesus.
Position is that the gift of the invitation that God gives to the people that He made is so generous and came at such a high price to Him.
A high price. He gave up a weekend. He gave up a weekend.
Right.
He was God before.
Yeah.
He was God during, and He's God now. He gave up a weekend. If I knew right now that I could go off and die and then not die? Where's the gift in that, number one?
I'm able to look at the grace that has been extended to me, and I receive it.
I want to make sure I can get a full sentence out of John.
Okay, so the way that I would commonly think of it is that if I gave up the life of my own son in exchange for your life, that it is okay then for me to make the invitation that God makes towards us.
Is that moral?
Is it moral?
Is it moral? On a corporeal level?
Jesus took on the penalty that I deserved for the sins that I committed, if we're looking at, the traditional Christian faith. And so I receive his gift of grace and as a payment for the things that I had done. So your question, is it moral or is it just? Is it fair? I'm able as a Christian to say, no, it's not fair, because I deserve the punishment that he took on himself. Faith to me is everything. We grew up in a household of faith and learned to love Jesus and love the church and serve.
Ross wanted to pause but was scared. So
I was gonna let him finish talking, but I think what he said was good. And
first confrontation.
I didn't really understand the weekend thing.
Cringe.
Obviously, it was talking about like, oh, he was dead for a weekend, not like, oh, Jesus like suffered on the cross. I, for some reason, I'm stupid and didn't understand that. But yeah, I mean, no Christian saying that it's fair. That's good. And I was gonna say something else, but I don't remember, so we'll keep it going.
The church from the family that I grew up in, and so my wife and I have embraced that same life of faith, and we have taught the Christian faith to our children to understand.
I just remembered. I'm sorry. It's also really bad for this video because it's like playing and then I'm going back. But he was like, okay, bad. I know. Is it fair though?
No, because he said it was not fair, but it is fair for the people who go to hell, but it's more than fair, which is literally what we said like 2 seconds ago.
But he's talking about Jesus
is
taking
it fair
the punishment.
that Jesus died?
So I think the Christian view,
and he said no, it's not fair.
It's like, is because we're made wrong by somebody else's sin, which again, we're not innocent. This going back to original sin. Because of that, we can now be saved by someone else's sin.
You gonna cite your source?
Romans 5.
Athanasius, actually.
Okay. I mean, it said throughout a couple things.
Stand themselves and their world because of him and his teaching.
I believe there is a higher purpose in life.
We all agree.
I mean...
Yeah, I think I strongly believe there's a higher purpose in life. I don't think I found it yet, and I hope, and I would like to believe that I will one day in the journey of my life.
I completely agree. I don't know what my purpose is, and I don't think there's like a higher purpose that fits for everybody. But to me, the idea that there's some bigger purpose has always been very comforting to me. Otherwise, kind of what's the point of all of this?
No, I fully agree. I think
that's really interesting that both other people don't. They're religious, but they don't understand what their higher purpose is.
But I believe it's a question that we all ask, and it's one of the gifts of faith, in my opinion. So that when there's times of epidemic and war,
Pandemic.
You're right. That's a better
worldwide
pandemic. That we're able to understand, even in those situations of difficulty and conflict and anxiety and fear, that there is a higher purpose in life, and that there's more than what we see.
I trouble with the phraseology higher purpose, because that, again, that denotes, do I believe God? No, but I do believe higher purpose as in love, to give, to be generous, to be kind, to help, to heal, to be there, to understand.
The phrase higher purpose is...
But then, and maybe they'll address this, but the whole question is, but why? And what's the point? Mm-hmm. Like, why be generous? Why be kind? Why love? Where does your desire to do that come from if there is no God?
And why are those good? Or why are they bad? Yeah. Or why are they nothing because you're just accomplice elves? Yeah.
It's a loaded phrase.
I struggle with higher purpose because it's like God said,
I choose you.
Yeah, I choose you, and you are going to do this thing, and you're going to continue doing this thing for the rest of your life. And I really struggle with that.
Can I just ask, and I mean this with all...
Let's go!
Because I
you
received
can't
your
offend
statement
me.
with that.
You literally cannot offend me. What's up?
But
What's up, bro?
very,
Come on.
just curiosity. What if everyone was committed to this idea that, like in the way that you expressed it? So I would say some people that are sort of pro-religion, like I am, would say that in order for us to bind together as a culture and learn to kind of work together and help cause one another to flourish, we have to agree on some kind of higher purpose or a common set of principles.
I disagree. I don't really see a need for having a prescriptive purpose. I'm struggling to even see what you see as the value in saying that you have a higher purpose.
Maybe it's more of a fear or a concern, right? That if everyone got up every day and said that life is all about me, and that's what, and I'm not suggesting at all that that's what you're saying about.
I mean, it kind of is. Like,
It is my belief. I don't mean to interrupt either of you.
Yeah,
It is my belief that one should take care of oneself.
Yeah.
Because nobody else will.
Yeah.
People who do take care of themselves, they understand that it is balance, and they're not going to go out and cause anarchy and mayhem in the streets.
It can even be like a selfish act to be helping the community around you, and it's still a good thing. It's still important. It doesn't take a higher purpose to make that kind of thing happen. I was going to school with the intention to become an ordained minister in the Pentecostal church. One of the things there is you read the Bible a lot every day, all day. And after doing that for like several hours a day and reading the Bible through back to back several times and discussing it, I wasn't sold at all. I guess I style myself more as a skeptic and a humanist than anything. And Satanism just happens to fit really nicely in that category for me. And this is actually also kind of like my outing video. Like my family doesn't know I'm a member of TST. They don't know I'm a Satanist.
That's interesting. I wonder with scenarios like that, because it is like there are like pastors, like there are a lot of
Matt Dilla,
people,
Huntley,
a lot of really knowledgeable people in the Bible have spent a lot of time reading it, and like it doesn't click. Is it like lack of relationship? I think like they just view it like it's like you said like a textbook, Wyatt.
There are people who are not Christian, who are not truly Christian, don't have a relationship. This is what someone said, that they view the Bible and like it basically is just a textbook to them, and it's not anything, like it's not being, their soul is not being impacted by the words or something like that.
I have heard testimonies and stories from a number of people who have gone to like seminary to become pastors or ministers or whatever, or even just go to seminary, and multiple people have told me. I think someone at our church here said this to me. But they said like in seminary was the time in their life where they felt the farthest from God. They were like, it was truly like the lowest and the farthest I've ever felt from my faith, from God, was my like 2 or 3 years in seminary, because it's so like
overbearing.
It's so overbearing, and it's very knowledge heavy, which of course it has to be, but it's like the relationship and like your connection and your heart are so not stressed at all, and it's so just like it becomes a textbook. The Bible becomes a textbook, and it's like, which is maybe important, and maybe you need to do those things, but it makes people feel very far from the truth.
And I also I have a friend in seminary right now, and he's like, I have to write like a 10-page paper every single week.
Yeah.
And so kind of just imagine like your schoolwork becoming like the Bible.
Exactly.
And like,
and it's like in the way that you hate school.
Yeah, it's actually the work of the devil that made us hate school, and it's like being combined with like your faith, and it's like
you like start to despise it. Like, I don't want to read the Bible today.
Yeah.
I
don't want to write this 10-page
But it's
paper about
interesting
Leviticus.
Because I think it just has to be like you have to want to do it. I'm sure they get stuck on doing like in researching things that they honestly like don't really care about, or like maybe it doesn't really matter that much to them because it's just like some weird theology thing. But it's like generally, like I think in my life at least, the more you know God, like the more you just like take joy, and like the more you can just comprehend and understand like God.
I agree. The difference is they are being forced.
They're being
graded.
Forced. That is true.
It's like it becomes not the. Of course, your free will. I'm in seminary,
predestined,
whatever. But instead of like, instead of me being like, okay, well, every day I'm going to do my devotional, or I'm going to read a chapter in the book because I want to. Yeah. It becomes like, okay, I have to write this 10-page paper that's due on Sunday.
And you were doing that, Ross, like when we do it, and like this YouTube channel or you studying or whatever, like we are doing it out of our joy and desire to learn and grow in our knowledge of God. They are doing it. Maybe that's why they started seminary. But every day when they're doing it, it's no longer, I'm doing this because I have joy in God and want to grow closer to Him.
Like
I have to do this so I can graduate seminary and get a job, becoming like a pastor or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it is sad that does happen.
I believe in
Okay, we all agree.
good and evil.
These are the worst questions.
He's like,
why are they making
easiest question ever?
Why are they making these noises?
Because they don't. They agree that there's good and evil, but they don't believe the objective morality. So they it's the question. They're like, well, I think it's basically the Asian pastor going up and being like, well, I actually agree with these guys, but this is why I'm going to go up because I actually think this.
Yeah, no,
it was based when he did.
Yeah,
that.
I know. Because then he gets to talk with them alone without other people interrupting.
Yeah.
Honestly, that might be the meta.
Just go
up every time, no matter what, and then be like, yeah, you get.
But I think the reason everyone knows that there's a good and evil.
Yeah.
But usually atheists fall in this trap where
everyone
they can't
knows God
say
is real too.
They can't say it because then they lose their argument. Because if there is good, then there is God. Like if there is this objective morality. So it's like now
Romans
because
1.
they hold this point of view, they can't accept these things where everyone knows.
Romans 1.
And this guy was calling God evil earlier. Right?
Yeah, true.
And now he's not.
So
up.
What's your standard for?
So maybe he does walk up. Maybe he needs to think.
There's
about
a meme
more.
about this. I'll try to find it. The Muslims not coming
I haven't,
forward?
as part of my own belief system for sure.
Yeah, see, that's what.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, because all his things are about like the good deeds that I do and the bad will balance, and if I do more good, then that's how you get to.
And I think
whatever
Muslims like
Sharia law or something.
So much of them are like so devout, like super well disciplined, and it is really interesting. Like there's a ton of Muslims where it's like they don't need, which obviously those super devout Christians, but like they don't even go in like stores where there's like music playing and like a ton of like crazy stuff like that.
You know what's even weirder? Watching like people that you see debate Christians, like Christopher Hitchens, debate Muslims. It's like I haven't
watched much of that.
That's also another like
I've seen
he
Bill
has to
Maher
deal
do
with
that.
Not just the Christians but also the Muslims. Also, like he's debating everyone. I'm sure Jewish people also. It's just like that. Just is like such a weird thing to think about. It's like he has to deal with a whole nother sect of like
because they all think that religion is like evil. But I think it's interesting.
I don't know if they don't all think religion is evil. There is.
I mean, why are they fighting so hard against it?
There is a book called, I think it's called The Case for Religion or something, or like something like that, and it's written by an
The Case for Christ.
No. It's called The Case for Religion or something along the lines of that, and it's written by an atheist who explains why religion is actually good for society because it like some kind of moral standard. And this also in the book
unites people.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. They use the Bible not in a context of like authority, but in the context of like morality and it being like the most moral book ever.
Yeah, and I think
there's that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that, because obviously like whenever you make some like LGBTQ plus or whatever like stuff, and then that's where people like there's this huge disconnect because like it's so in our society today to like push that, and the Bible is against it unless you have like an insanely liberal interpretation. But usually besides like stuff like that, people agree with like Bible moralities. But Christopher Hitchens, there's like one clip where he says that like Muslim is like the worst of like all religions, and it's like more violent. Like
that's what Bill Maher
says. That's because they like jihad is like. I don't know exactly what, but it's like using violence to
and that's why the Crusades I think happened.
Something
unless
like,
I'm wrong.
They talk about
research.
They talk about in Dune, the book Dune. There's like supposed to be like a jihad or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
Conviction that all of our hearts can at sometimes lead us to do acts of evil, and so I see it in the world around me on both sides.
It would have been better if there was one more. Though.
Yeah, I think the phrasing is something that's what it's a little bit catchy.
It's a dichotomy.
Yeah,
it just.
I mean, I believe in right and wrong, and I think some things, for me, a lot of things lie in the gray area, but there are some things that I consider right and wrong, but I wouldn't say it's the same as good and evil, right?
That was beautifully said. That was.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I agree
What's the
with that.
difference?
But I also believe that what is right and wrong has changed throughout history. And it's something where I don't know if everyday actions that I do right now are going to be considered evil later on. Like, is driving a car going to be considered wrong?
I don't believe in an evil entity who is, pitchfork and horns and looking like me with a goatee. That doesn't actually happen. If you ask anybody throughout history, they're always the hero of their own novel.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
Even yesterday, I went to the grocery store, and there was one person who had like more than 10 packs of toilet paper. And I do understand that
Toilet paper is not going to save you.
yeah, I do understand that he was being cautious and watching out
And neither will your good works.
for himself and his family. I just think the act of doing that is wrong because there were so many people who couldn't buy toilet paper.
But to
right?
him, that was right.
But that-
because he was looking out for his family, probably.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm saying that I think the act is wrong, but I wouldn't say that he's evil. Like, unless he has IBS or something, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Get him the
Oh my God.
He does.
Some of the core beliefs of Hinduism is to believe in dharma, making sure that you have enough for yourself and also enough for other people. But Satan in Hinduism is like an assistant to God, someone who can cause disruption, but that is more for the benefit of human beings by and large.
I believe Satan is
That's all they're doing on
I
good and
agree.
evil.
I know. That's like such a easy one, I feel like, to talk about.
This isn't quite the meme, but this is the closest I could find. It's pretty much just.
Bro, that is... Spent eons on that one.
evil.
That's
Do
all
It is kind of
atheists
funny,
think
though.
there is objective morality?
Well, that's the whole. That's why I think they should have pressed more into that question.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I was saying. Like, because they will say like.
I don't think I've ever heard
I've
anyone
asked an
argue for
atheist.
it.
I'm like, is there right and wrong? Is there evil? And most of them will say yeah. They'll try to be like no, and I'm like, so is murder wrong? Well, yes. Why is it wrong?
Because society
Like
says.
they have no answer. Right.
Right, but
Yeah,
I wonder
Because
if
our
there's
society
any
has
atheists-
decided.
I'm sure there's an atheist that is tried to argue for objective morality, and I wonder what that
They
argument
say
is.
the
It
argument
crumbles
is like
pretty easily.
evolution.
No,
Yeah.
but
They say like we have evolved and our societies have evolved to see these traits as good and these traits.
but
as
I think that doesn't mean they think there's objective morality.
I think they say.
I think that's
yeah.
why there's just the order that is the current order. Like, oh, murder's
It's
bad,
subjective.
stealing's wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's why they say that's how we got to where we are right now.
Yeah.
But I want to know
I guess.
if like an atheist will be like, no, there is objective morality, and what that argument is. I
Well,
don't know if I don't know if that's a thing.
You
that they
can't
argue.
as an atheist.
I agree, but I wonder what the argument
I'm sure someone.
is.
That's why I wish they would have talked about that more.
You know
'cause
the
they didn't even say anything.
Yeah, you know the C.S. Lewis quote, do you remember where it's like, if a straight line is good and like there's wrong, it's like a crooked line, or because there's wrong and we know that there's wrong, it's like a crooked line, but you know it because like there's a straight line that's like God, except it's actually said in a way that you could understand because I don't remember it that well. But it's like basically like, how do you know what's right and wrong if there isn't a standard?
Wait, why did you stop?
I was trying to play it out in my head, but then I realized I don't agree with that. And
Okay.
stuff, yeah.
Well,
Do Muslims not believe in Satan? I think they do.
What I know is the Satanists laughing like that was very cringe.
It's I don't know, because they
Did
they
he talk about Satan?
Muslims kind of pretend to go off of the Bible because they like pretend to be a continuation on Christianity, and that's when they get into arguing where they're like, "Oh, Jesus didn't say he's God," but they also say the Bible's corrupt. So I don't know why they're like, "Oh, the Bible was actually good," because they claim to like read the Bible. There's like confusing things there for me that I can't like reconcile, which is
Yeah.
probably on me. But it's like, because they believe in like the Old Testament and the New Testament, shouldn't they believe that there's a devil? And if they come from Abraham,
They don't believe in the New Testament.
shouldn't they believe in Adam and Eve? with like the fall.
Oh, Muslims, yeah, no, Muslims believe in Satan.
So this
I don't
guy
know if
is
they call him Satan, but
very untraditionalist belief.
I think maybe he's just young and doesn't understand.
Or it's like Satan is evil, maybe. Well,
I think White is right though in that he talked about Satan at the very beginning of this video. He was like, the Islam word for Satan is blah blah blah, and it means like the person who whispers evilness in your ear or something.
Oh.
He said that at the very beginning, I think. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see what he says right here and why he did not walk forward.
Yeah, so interesting.
The fact that there is a Satan who is real and the fact that he is evil is, I mean, it's an important, pretty central belief that we hold in the Christian faith, and that there is a good and loving God and a Satan who is evil.
Nice pick.
So let's go back to Genesis, okay? God wanted to keep humans from eating.
Also, okay, I'm not trying to interrupt her necessarily, but it's crazy that like there's a Hindu there and they literally don't care. They just keep talking about Christianity and like Genesis and like the Bible.
And a Muslim.
And a Muslim, but Muslims believe in Genesis. But yeah, so like maybe you can say it's not, but literally all they're talking about is the Bible and Christianity.
Yeah, no, it's like just so hyper focused.
I guess she's Jewish though, so maybe I'm misspeaking.
Yeah, but obviously, like, I mean, we're biased because we're Christian, but it's like
I don't
a lot
think we
of
are, because all the Satanists are talking about is the Bible. They're not talking about Hindu. They're not talking about Buddha. They're not talking about like
I do
Scientology.
Think it is
whatever.
also easier. Like people just know more about Christianity by default, especially
Because
in America.
It's the truth. But yeah, no, it's
But yeah,
And the light.
The fruit of
but what I was
knowledge,
saying
correct?
And the way.
And Satan.
is like atheists so often are like, oh, like slavery's in the Bible, slavery's wrong, gotcha. But again, it's like the
who says
morality
it's
part.
wrong? Why
Yeah,
do you say
it's
wrong?
it's the morality part. But then it's also like they like don't even believe. It's just I don't know why they're so set on deconverting. But she's gonna say here probably like, oh, God lied because Adam didn't die immediately after he ate the apple. Or like, oh,
It wasn't an apple.
Satan was trying to unlock the secret
It was
knowledge,
watermelon.
And it's not
the
to
fruit
say
of knowledge.
Or the serpent human. So let's go back to Genesis, okay? God wanted to keep humans from eating the fruit of knowledge, correct? And Satan or the serpent wanted to give humans that knowledge. I believe that's a good action.
That is a good action.
That's a good action. That's justifiable.
The first person to advocate for equal rights.
Yes. We only heard God's perspective, and from my perspective,
The people who ended slavery were Christians.
I mean, just looking into the Bible, it's like we didn't hear Satan's perspective. Maybe he said, God is a tyrannical God, and I'm going to rebel from him, and I'm going to become a fallen angel.
Dude,
to
his
rule
face.
mankind.
Did you see his face there?
Tyrannical
Look at his
God, and I'm
face.
going to rebel from him.
He's like
So
jaw drop-
relatable.
It's
so
like
relatable.
because it's like
Society has fallen.
they're like, oh no, Satan's perspective was good. They eat the apple, fall, like the fall of man. Like that's literally keep on reading, man.
Like that is like death comes from this action.
Like they're literally like, oh, I'm gonna read Genesis and I'm gonna stop once they eat that. Like maybe even before they eat from the fruit. It's like, oh, dude, the devil was being so nice. He's telling them that they could be gods, and then they eat that fruit, and then they don't become gods, and like there's fall, and there's all this sin and evil.
She's
in the
also
world.
missing the point. Like the whole point is she's like, so it's good that they're eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil because then they have this knowledge or like she called it the fruit of knowledge, which is not what it is. It's the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So maybe it's not purposeful, but she's mischaracterizing it. And the point there is the reason why that was the tree of knowledge of good and evil is because when you eat of that fruit, that's when they gained the knowledge of good and evil because evil had been committed. Before then, man had no evil within him. So whenever we ate of that, we technically gained the knowledge in as much as we had never experienced evil before, so now we had the knowledge of it. She's trying to make it sound like God was trying to keep this knowledge away from them, blah, 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 which is that's not the point. The point is it was called that because if you ate of that tree, that was God's only command. And whenever you did that, we now had evil, so we had the knowledge of good and evil. It's not like we were accessing some secret knowledge. That's all it was. And she is like totally saying like, well, God just wanted to keep the knowledge away from them. That's why he said not to eat it. And the devil was helping them. But that's clearly not the case.
Yeah, devil good guy take is maybe one of the worst takes I think I've ever heard in my life.
Belong to the Church of Satan.
Oh, I know.
And I'm going to become a fallen angel to help mankind.
My interpretation and understanding of that story is that God created an environment where and it was an environment of love and peace, and where his children that he created and who he loved, who he created in his image would...
They were naked and they didn't have understanding.
Yeah, and that this was an environment for them to...
Wait, we gotta hear his whole point.
To flourish. And so he puts them in this environment, and he desires for them to flourish and to live in unashamed relationship with him and his perfection and his glory.
Naked and stupid.
I see God making simple playthings because he's bored, if it's real then, and then saying, don't do this because I don't want you on my level. And if you do, I have to make sure you can't live forever so you really don't get on my level.
Would you think that if you heard that one of your friends was having a baby and you'd say, oh, you're just making a plaything for your...
That's different. That's different.
But there are some parents who use their kids as their plaything.
Yeah. That was a good point.
It was a really good point.
Also, they cannot move off of... Satan lied. Yeah. It's not like, oh, God like prevented them from being of the same power.
Like that's what Satan told them to get them to do.
Yeah, like God can't make someone as equal. Like God like exists like outside of all this. Like that's like not something that can happen. Like God is the one who's been there eternally, the creator of all things. So it's interesting, and like God cares about his creation.
3 a.m.
Man, Philip is gonna wake up soon.
Video, by the way.
But that's how I see the same generative love that out of which God created us.
I think for me, from as much knowledge as I have about Satan, I think Satan is a symbol of freedom and liberty, right? Mm-hmm. So that is not evil. Of course, like we...
Again, freedom of choosing.
Who is this woman?
And an early example of what we see in Genesis 4, I believe, is there's literally the first murder, like pretty directly after very soon. It's like, there is this choice, and the choice is good because this choice like creates love, right? We have free will, but at the same time, it's like people do bad, and then
it was perfect.
I think love existed before the fall. I mean, I think God still loved Adam and Eve.
Well, God loved the Trinity.
Yes,
there's love between
the Trinity. That is good. Yeah, you guys are correct, but we still do have free will. But it was better before, and their love exists in the Trinity.
But free will they still had free will before.
Again.
I know they just chose wrongly. But no, I agree.
We discussed before, if people commit wrong deeds in the name of Satan, then that's wrong.
For me, I flip-flopped a little only because I don't think that on his own Satan is evil. I think he's used to represent evil. Whether he does or not, that's what he's used for. His character is very much used to say, like, you do something wrong, like, oh, that's an act of, like, the devil, kind of.
So notice whenever the Christian talks, he gets very interrupted. They're all very... What seems like judgmental. The moderator step in. But whenever the Hindu person and the Muslim person are speaking, they're all very respectful.
It's because, I mean, I think what Ross said, like, they hate him. Like, they hate Christianity.
I know.
And they hate God.
I know. It is.
But
it's just, like, so apparent.
It's sad.
It's not just interruptions, though, too. It's like... The way... I'm going to use a term that Mike Winger does, because I saw him do it, and he's, like, so right, but it's like... They're like scoffing, they're making... He's like, oh, and they were just left there like naked and stupid? Like, it's like kind of stuff like that. It's like, they're not even like really like intellectual, like they just like kind of make...
No, it's Reddit, like, tip the hat.
Satan represents to me taking responsibility for your own actions. It says to thirst for knowledge, for understanding, to understand that man is an animal, sometimes worse than those around, but an animal nonetheless.
Religion has...
So weird.
Oh, he's very weird.
Also,
and I wonder what like he does for work, and like how does he dress like that for work? Because like I mean, I worked at an office, and like I feel like you could totally dress like that and just be that weird and like just it's just so.
But weird. Definitely not a salesman. Like he seems like very like.
He probably works at, like McDonald's.
Honestly, he probably does like social media. If I had to guess, he does like this character.
I could see.
Has caused more harm than good.
I disagree.
Religion has caused a lot of
yeah.
harm. Is it the ultimate source of evil? No. Ultimately, people make their own
You said there was no good and evil.
decisions, but we'd talk about crusades and witch trials and the God hates fags and the snake handlers and the hypocrites.
Persecution.
So all Christian, like, you're not even talking about the Muslim stuff. You're talking about crusades always comes up, which crusades, I mean, I don't know much about, but I'm pretty sure they were the response.
Unless they were Catholic.
I'm not.
I don't.
They were.
There was bad stuff that happened.
Very bad
Of course
stuff
there's
that's
bad stuff
unrepresentative of
What I will say
Christianity.
is, though, I watched this video, and it was titled, like, the Crusades were actually good.
I need a Mike Winger video on Crusades. Does he have one?
He probably has one.
I need.
What's his list here? What's he saying?
I have something to say.
Ultimately, people make their own
hear his
decisions, but we'd talk about crusades and witch trials and the God hates fags and the snake handlers and the hypocrites.
Persecution of science.
Right. So
Christians actually invented science.
Science. All the major universities were founded by Christians. All the Ivy
Hospitals,
like just the list
like
goes
just
on.
science, like science was created as a way to understand God.
Cosmetology, literally,
That's
all
the foundations
theology.
of science. Yeah.
But with the Crusades, though, too, I'm pretty sure, like, the Crusades.
Did you hear what I said?
Were
Cosmetology?
Is that the makeup?
Orthodontists.
Dentistry.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, like, the Crusades were a response to, like, the Islam violence.
No, they
right?
were. Well, to my knowledge, the Crusades were Islam tried to take over Jerusalem, and the Crusades were to take it back. That was the first Crusade. However, there were multiple, and I think bad stuff happened.
I think there was, like, people on the
And
Crusade,
now
like,
they're
doing, like, the rape stuff, like, the classic.
And, like, murder.
Which is so against Christianity.
No, of course,
Which, it's very unfortunate. And, I mean, those people will stand before God one day.
But
so they already have. Or,
well,
no.
I don't know if we...
That's wrong.
Maybe... I'm not knowledgeable.
We could do a pod
And so
on it.
take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but in the Bible, like, the Israelites were called at times to kill entire populations, including women and
Canaanites.
children.
Yep.
So is it possible that Christians during the Crusades were called to do the same? I think
it is
generally we
possible.
say no, just because we're like,
how do you
we
doesn't
want
happen
to be
anymore.
the
But
we're all good
maybe they were. Maybe
Yeah.
God did call them to do it.
for His wrath and judgment.
We
for
know
them.
He's done it before. Maybe
Yeah.
He's done it now. I could be wrong.
No, I mean
What's that
it
noise?
isn't. It
Hopefully
is an
Philip.
interesting take, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. Like, God does use His people, or even just not even His people, just like government or just other people to exercise His judgment.
Also, the God hates gays thing he said is Westboro Baptist Church. In case you didn't know that.
There's a verse in the Bible that's like, God hates the homosexuals.
No,
I think
I'm
it's.
pretty sure it is.
there's not.
There's just
I think it says it's like an abomination.
No, it says that.
I'm pretty sure I've looked at it.
You're
But
wrong.
God hates the sin.
I'm pretty sure it says like, I think I looked this
Can
up.
you misread
up.
it or it's a mistranslation?
It says God hates Esau, which is controversial verse,
Mhm.
But
it does not.
can we
say-
answer that?
right now?
I can.
I mean, go. For
I can pretty quickly.
It's a metaphor.
it is.
Hate was used differently at this time. An example of this is
I'll try and find.
Is it Isaac or is it
Jacob.
Jacob? It's
Jacob
Jacob,
and Esau.
with Leah. No, but I'm saying it was Isaac with Rachel and Leah, right? So it also uses the same thing, like Isaac hated Leah.
No.
It was Jacob.
Isaac, Abraham and Sarah. Abraham has Isaac, who has Rebecca.
Oh,
Isaac and Rebecca, and then
So
Isaac
it's
has Jacob and
Jacob.
Esau. Jacob has Rachel and Leah.
Okay, yeah. So Jacob had 2 wives, and he liked Rachel more. So it says he loved Rachel, and then he hated Leah. Obviously, he didn't hate his wife.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
like just used to describe.
it's also talking about how it's the comparison of what God did for Jacob and what God did for Esau. Like, compared to how much blessing Jacob received,
yeah.
it's like in comparison, it would seem as though he hated Esau.
Yeah.
But we know that God doesn't lie, and we know that God doesn't contradict himself. And so it's not that he actually hated Esau. It's just, like, look at everything that happened to Jacob. Like, his chosen people, Christ, David, Solomon, his, everything. He sent his son to be born in the line of Jacob. And so the amount of love that is shown there, in comparison to what he gave to Esau, it must seem as though he hates him.
Yeah.
But the end of the story of Jacob and Esau is they're, like, friends again.
Oh,
like,
it's
they
beautiful.
reunite. It's
awesome.
one of my favorite, honestly. It's like an underrated Bible moment when they reunite and Jacob is like very scared. We're rambling.
He's like sitting almost like
Roger
said
said
a
a
bad
bad
word.
word.
You did.
Literally accidentally, but I was trying to say is like
well,
he was like
it's recorded forever.
He was sending like
Clip
animals and like a
no,
ton
he
of
was very
things,
scared.
like,
Yeah. Okay, we're rambling.
But yeah, no, God
Wyatt
does not
can't find the
hate
verse.
anyone.
The subjection of science, the arts.
Wyatt really read an r/atheism post of a fake Bible verse. And was
God
like,
hates gays.
this one must be
No,
true.
I'm telling you, that saying is the Westboro Baptist Church.
Why would they say
No,
that?
it was
Which
on
protested my
iFunny,
high school
and I
graduation.
remember I looked it up, and I know I saw this verse.
You
I don't know
misread
what
it.
translation
You
it
didn't
was,
see it.
Yeah, you didn't.
Doesn't
see it.
exist.
but I can't
I
find
mean, I don't know that there's been a major war that hasn't.
If the planet's not in the system, then it doesn't exist.
This is an unbelievable
Okay,
take he's
what's
about to
this
say.
guy saying? What is a snake handler?
I don't know.
And the hypocrites.
Persecution of science.
The subjection of science, the art.
Christians murder scientists. Is that what this guy's saying?
I don't know.
Like, what even is he like? No Christian is objecting science. They might be like, "Oh, well, I don't believe that,"
stupidity
but
of
that's science.
I mean, I don't know that there's been a major war that hasn't been at least fueled by religion.
Insane.
World War II.
World
It's a
War
pretty
I.
big one. Yeah.
The Cold War.
Korean War, Vietnam War.
Yeah, like everything in the 20th century. Also, I mean,
the stat.
I mean, yeah, like which we already
3%
said.
have been Christian wars.
And they're gonna be like
7% been religious.
Yeah.
3 if you take away Islam.
So there's like a lack
Why do
of
you guys have to
knowledge
say
here.
that?
There's some ignorance because it makes it a better proof for us.
No, it is. Yeah, it's also like
It's the same thing.
You're
I
too
said
far away.
I
Come
said
closer.
7% are religious wars. 3% of that is Christian.
that's not
But
not
that's
true
not.
though.
There's
How?
other religions.
Yeah, there's other religions than just Islam and Christianity.
What am I saying?
You're saying
4%
If not
are
directly
Islam?
started by it, some of them were
Yes.
just political
Okay.
things, but they were always had a religious backing at some point that flared the fire up and made it so much worse.
It's simply wrong.
It's like the classic. Hitler was a Christian, and like, yeah, right.
And they vote.
And just, I mean, briefly, obviously.
Bro, these religious people vote.
That's crazy.
What?
That's a crazy take. But it literally isn't this guy the guy who said like, I want to make sure all, no, I think it was the other guy. He's like, I want to make sure all religions are respected and have equal rights or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And now he's like, Christians shouldn't vote.
But that was the long hair guy.
No, I know, but still.
He probably would have like maybe agreed.
It's just
the Hitler thing. There's a video on this YouTube channel called Root of Ross that addresses was Hitler a Christian? Number one, that's Ross's YouTube channel. Also, Stalin and Mao, who are also in the 20th century, killed like 50 times more people than Hitler. Both very, very secular, both very atheist, and killed people for secular reasons. And no one ever talks about it. Everyone's always like, "Oh, Hitler was a Christian," but they never talk about literally around the same time period as Hitler. The most murders that have ever happened in human history were done by secular atheists for atheist reasons.
Yeah.
I think religion dictates moral values for a lot of people, and the way people interpret religion has caused harm. But religion itself would never, can never cause any harm. It is meant for the good of society and for the good of people.
I disagree with that one.
Yeah, and like I said, the way, because I don't think
Also,
any
I don't
God
think
would
he
say
was
that,
really
okay, this child is
interrupting.
going to burn in hell.
I don't know.
It's probably the way people have interpreted it, or the way people tell others, the way they've practiced, some people have practiced it.
There is harm.
some religions are hateful though.
Islam.
Yeah.
Jihad.
And if we go farther back, like tons of religion like practice like child sacrificing and stuff. Whenever we go back to like whenever religion was like country based.
Pro-choice still does.
I agree.
in religion done in the name of religion, but it's hard to quantify on a cost-benefit analysis kind of way which is worse, having religion or not having religion. Religion is a form of power, it is a tool, and it reveals the worst in humanity and it reveals the best of humanity. And you can do a lot in the name of religion.
I feel like the Christian guys kind of been shocked by the opinions of like these other people. That's just what I don't know. That's just what I get. I feel like he doesn't spend maybe that much time on like the interwebs and like this guy exists. Like these types of people exist. Like Satanists. I've never met a Satanist or even known one or known anyone who knew one. And so I feel like probably. But
we're
he's
also
in that
like
same
much
category.
younger. Obviously, so we
right. Exactly. So I feel like
it is such a curveball.
Just his faces are kind of funny.
I know. You hit me.
Religion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the power word is very important to me. I have a lot of sensitivity about that, and where Christians have used either the Bible or their own conviction to express authority over other people in a way that doesn't lead to their flourishing. I think we're in agreement on that. As a member of the Christian church, I would say that there have been great contributions of people of faith to the cause of human flourishing and through medicine and healthcare and the arts and education and all those kinds of things. So
I wouldn't go about for the arts and medicine.
Bro, what he said was a great point.
We literally created art and created medicine.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for the arts, not for the medicine. For the arts, yes.
Christian art is amazing.
Beautiful artwork.
Cathedrals are amazing.
Those artists were not Christian. They were just hired.
I don't care if they were hired by the church.
Christian.
I love it. I love Saint Sebastian portraits. I love all.
Some of the choral music is beautiful.
All of it.
The tradition is sometimes
evangelistic paintings.
Beautiful. There's beautiful things in it, and it can help calm someone if that is what they need. I do believe that people do need rituals. I myself have rituals.
So I think religion has
I do not want to know what those ones are.
given a lot of people some kind of peace of mind.
But that's the thing. Well, I don't understand really if they don't believe there's, and maybe he does believe there is a supernatural. Like, what does he mean by ritual? Like, I don't get it.
You think he goes to Bohemian Grove?
Also,
by the way, this video just got flagged for me saying that. So
I have something to share with you guys about Bohemian Grove later.
And I think even if necessarily again, I think that's what to you someone believing in God. Yes. Well, that's just not true. Why would you do that? I guess to me, believing in God, I don't think I've never imposed my religion on anyone around me. I use it as something that's like a personal relationship between me and God.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like,
he's
the Muslim does not want to convert, and I haven't met, but I've heard there are Christians that believe like only personal, and it's a bad take, but like some people do believe it's like very personal and do not talk with other people. It's very do not share.
So they don't take Jesus's Great Commission command in Matthew 28.
Like, I think there's a line between like you. Maybe not like only, but like I think it's usually most successful if you have a personal relationship with someone and then you try to talk to them about Jesus rather than like.
Well, I think what you were saying is personal relationship with yourself.
Yeah, with yourself and God, and that's never going outside.
Yeah, that's very wrong. Yeah, okay, I misunderstood.
If you're a Christian, to not like try to evangelize is like the most hateful, selfish thing that you can do. Really bad take.
What about?
And it's helped me again lots of times in those times of alone, like you said, in those dark moments, I guess, or in those happy moments, just thanking God for blessing my life, or in those dark moments, like feeling a little less alone is what it's helped. And I think people I've talked to have like felt similar things in that respect. I've always been proud of my religion. It's never something I've tried to hide. I think it's like if someone would have a conversation with me, not in an overbearing way, but it would be something that would come out very quickly in the conversation for some reason or another.
I consider myself a good person.
I disagree.
I disagree too. And I think the Christian, he knows his feet are planted.
I don't like these questions that they're doing.
They're too basic.
They're way too basic. Yeah. Like they need to be more deep.
But I think the problem though is
he's gonna do the Asian.
He wants to talk.
He wants to talk.
Yeah. Which it's fine. I respect the play.
What if he's like, I'm not good, but I'm made good through the love of Christ.
That could be. I'm made perfect. Yeah.
I'm justified. Yeah. I like pulling that one out for sure. But I think the reason why these I think the reason, I mean, it's biblical.
Ross, why'd you do that? I'm holy and blameless.
The reason for these questions being bad is because I think there's 3 different religions right here.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like you have to be generic.
Did Philip get a pro controller for this?
Yeah.
That's mine.
I'm a great person.
I really think good and bad is objective because...
Objective?
Does everyone love me? No. There are people...
He meant to say subjective. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's pretending to be an intellectual and is wrong. Right. Objective means, like, clearly and unbiased. He's talking about subjective. Bye-bye.
Who absolutely wish me dead.
Debunked.
Got him.
And that's okay. Maybe I deserve it from them. I don't know. But on the other hand, I help little old ladies across the street, and I give to the poor, and I give time and energy, and so is that good? Maybe it outweighs the bad.
It's that constantly striving to be better in whatever means that is, but a moving forward sense, not just staying stagnant in, I'm this and I'm going to stay this way all the time.
It's an active pursuit. Like you have
Completely.
to do it every single day.
Completely.
No, I do believe that being good is in these minute, like, little actions, these micro actions that you do every single day.
Microaggressions.
I'm just thinking about, like, this hypothetical that doesn't matter. But what if this Christian, I wonder what everyone else's responses would be if he stayed back. Like, I do think it would have been the point to stay back.
Yeah. I think
And then
so,
once
too.
he walks in, he has time where only he talks.
Yeah. I would have stayed back.
But it seems
see
like
what
he
he
knows
says.
what he's been doing good so far.
I agree.
I'm intrigued. Do you guys base it more on your intentions or more on your actions?
I think it's both, but intention is really important.
Yes.
It is. Because sometimes you do
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
something thinking that it's going to be a good thing, but it turns out to be disastrous. But as long as you had a good intention in it, I feel like it's
Like
not...
to a certain extent.
Yeah, to a certain
I
extent.
mean, the way is
How many people do good things because they think that's what people
It's easy
expect
and
good
wide.
things to be?
Yeah, and for me, I would just hope that
here we go.
my faith would be borne out in acts of kindness and mercy and compassion and charity. And I know that doesn't necessarily come from me, but I believe that I'm a good person because of who God has made me to be.
I think you're a good person because you're a good person. I also think you're more moral than the God of the Bible. I think you're a genuinely good person, and I think you're better than the Bible.
I think there's good in
No,
everybody.
respond.
He did.
Maybe sometimes it's deep within. But I do think that at their core, everybody's a good person.
Oh, dude.
Lois,
He didn't
why
even
are you a
respond.
Satanist?
Well, I'm a Satanist because I originally started out as an atheist, but I wanted to find more ways to do advocacy work within a separation of church and state. And also, I think Satan is pretty cool. Satan is kind of a daddy. So here I am today talking about Satan.
I respect all religions.
No.
Disagree.
But, no, respect. I'm not going to force my religion on you, nor do I think it should be
I'm
forced
not
on.
going to hate you for
But
your religion.
respect.
Save it for the... Well, sorry, go ahead.
Respect in the aspect of.
Good morning.
What's up, Philip?
You want to hop in for the react
Good
for
morning.
some of us?
No. What?
It's a
Philip,
joke.
what do you think about this question?
Satan.
Hold on.
I respect all religions.
No.
Nice.
That's what they. It's a
No,
hard
no.
question.
You should not respect something that brings people to hell. That's what I say.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
also,
that is
and we
true.
we'll save it for like if we do like a Christian nationalism. I know we try to not do politics. Maybe we won't end up doing that one, but it's on the list.
Looks good.
But like the idea of like should we force, but like how Christian should the government be?
Yeah, like church separation of church
Oh,
and state.
theocracy.
Like just like do a pod
Should it be?
on it, right? That's like I think that is something we could talk about.
It is
It's on my
interesting.
list.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a quick preview. We've tried it. Doesn't work.
Well,
Sounds good,
I mean,
doesn't
it's
work.
the government that God gave to man, so he did not give them a democracy, a secular democracy. He gave them a theocracy and said, "I am the king."
Yeah.
And then whenever he gave them a human king, he said, "This human king will worship and obey me, and you will follow my laws." He did not say, "You will vote and have, gay presidents.
He also
He
said that the people in our government now are placed there.
I agree. I agree. That's why we should do a pod on it.
But it's a different. I think that Israel, though, like whenever God was like literally the cake in that way, is different. King. My nose is stuffy. It's messing me up. It is different in the way, like, if we were to do Christianity, it would be done in a different way. And this is actually something that they tried to do where Christianity was forced. And
no, I know. We should save it for the pod. Save it for the future pod.
Spoiler alert.
This is called a quick.
One of the guys, I think his name was William Tyndale. He tried to translate the Latin Bible into English for the first time, and they killed him for it, like the religious priest, which is.
So, do I respect all religions?
They're wrong.
No. What does it mean by that?
I don't know.
It's like I'm not gonna spit on your shoe.
I'm not gonna force religion, but I'm not gonna respect.
Well, I know, and there's plenty, and I know I said save it for the pod, so I will. But there's plenty of stuff that says like democracy is like democracy and like the freedom of religion is like the best way to Christianity to thrive because it allows Christians to be loving and whatever to even people who disagree.
And then if you change the hearts,
and that's like a
you change
genuine
the
conversion.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's tricky.
I'd say definitely don't respect the religion, but I mean if you're just going around disrespecting everybody who is of a different religion, then they're not going to want to be a Christian.
Also, it's crazy we all sound sick right now.
I don't.
No, you do.
I sound
yes,
tired,
you do.
so I just woke up.
Understand, though, that everyone's made in God's
3:30 a.m.
image and correct them with gentleness, but know that if you don't stand up for the truth, which is Christianity, then like that will result in people going to hell.
That guy said you have to respect all religions.
I don't respect all religions.
I respect you if you're a good person and you're doing, if you think your religion is great, but I mean, there's probably a religion out there that I'm going to say that's not okay.
I mean, I'm saying I respect all.
There are a ton of religions. We were only kind of thinking about the major ones. But point so stands, everyone's made in the image of God.
All religions in the sense of the ones that I know of. I guess there's some obscure thing that I'm not aware of that really does stand for horrible things I don't agree with. My answer will change.
Yeah, I think whatever you want to store your faith in, and if it helps you and it helps you to unite with other people, of course, I'm sure we all respect that, and that helps you lead your life.
Though I have committed my life and
3:30
and future to
about to go to work.
And you're about to go to sleep, and I will be home when you wake up.
Oh, you don't know me, son.
religion that believes that it is the right and the only way. You know, I also believe I respect people and love people and believe in people's freedom to choose. So.
Even in Islam, in the Quran, we have this one chapter. What it talks about is the respecting of other people's religions, like your religion.
Why does he sound normal except when he says Islam and Quran?
It's a Muslim thing.
But his voice.
Remember that guy we talked on
like
with
no
Omegle?
accent?
It was like wherever you would say whenever they say specific words, they have like a pronunciation. Yeah, I don't know why, but I've noticed it too.
I think that his is probably the correct one.
But he talks like us outside of that.
Yeah. But they.
Religion is for you, and my religion is for me, and like my religion is mine, and your religion is yours, and like that's okay in a sense. We're separate from each other, but still preaching that respect for one another.
Yeah, this is
it's a platitude of all religions to say, I respect your religion, I respect your religion, I respect your religion, but you're all saying, oh, I respect your right to have that religion, but then internally you're saying, Allah is the only God, Jesus is not God. Vishnu, Krishna, these are gods, these are deities. Jesus Christ is the only way, he is the answer, he is the only one. I'm right, exactly. You're all wrong, but I'm going to be nice about it.
I think that there's a difference between believing that somebody else's religion is wrong and respecting it. I feel like you can have respect and still disagree. Yeah. And that's where I'm kind of coming from. And I disagree with all of you guys on your religious beliefs. But of course, everybody disagrees on their religious beliefs.
I think we all disagree with each other to a certain extent.
But we can all live in harmony and we can
respect the other person's views. Yeah.
The core of my religion is love.
I agree.
I say it's at least part of
The
it.
core.
God is love.
God is love.
God
There's
is
an-
also
there's an
like
equal sign right there. God equals
joy,
love.
Which comes from love.
I mean, I agree.
love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness.
But love is
I feel like that's
very-
all the core.
Love is very rooted in Christianity, which is why I would walk forward. I would say that. And I mean,
I don't think
God
it's a bad
shows his
take,
love
but-
for us, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Like, that is God showing his love for us. He created us to, we can now experience this relation with God with this love connection.
Also, very lovey-dovey.
Yeah, kind of, mostly. I mean...
It's good.
Why?
I don't really follow a specific organized religion, but I do believe that at my core, my
musical chairs.
belief system is full of love for everybody and respect.
First tenet in the Temple of Satan is to have compassion and empathy for all living creatures within our reasonable understanding of it. So,
And to love yourself, too. I think that's important.
For me, Islam's always, again, as far as self-love goes, was always like preach self-respect for yourself, respect your body, respect your belongings, respect your public space, respect the earth, and love all. And it's just been a guiding force for love in my life, and I think it's because of the love that's rooted within it.
I'm curious, did you learn anything about the other side or about a specific person in this group that you didn't expect?
For me, honestly, it was more of that I didn't know what to expect, only because I know a bit more about Christianity, I know a bit more about Hinduism, just you don't learn about Satanism in school very much.
Well, to be fair, not to interrupt, we three identify as Satanists, but we three also believe completely...
We're very different.
We're
Of
very
course.
different.
Of course. And I think that's why for me, I didn't really come in with many expectations. I was just willing and eager to hear what you had to say, hear your point of view. Our reason for doing what we do is a bit different, but I think we all want to be good people and live good, happy lives and preach love in some way or another. I don't mean preach in a religious sense. I just mean like be loving people. I think we all want similar things just for different reasons.
Satanism is a newer religion. I mean, the Satanic Temple, obviously extremely new.
yeah, very.
Church of Satan, as run by Anton LaVey, very new.
Aleister Crowley, still within the last...
Pretty new, too. I mean, obviously, there's been occultism throughout the world for ages and ages and ages, but we have the benefit of coming in with these progressive ideologies and being able to form a new idea of what is acceptable.
In light of the coronavirus, we aren't doing handshakes or hugs or anything like that, but in your own way, express affection to each other as a group.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, yes, that one's a good one. That's a very good one. Hail Satan. Hail Satan.
Thank you.
Closing thought is I wish the Christian guy spoke more, but obviously
they cut it out.
Maybe
They're censoring him.
But obviously, like, I'm biased. But at the same time, it's like I could see like the point of view. It's like, okay, I don't want to completely dominate the conversation and be like be
I
too
wouldn't be
much.
surprised
He
if this original thing was like over an hour and they cut it to under 30 minutes.
I think he was being challenged and he never accepted the challenges.
Yeah.
Every
Which
single
is maybe
thing
the right
he
mindset.
explained very well. All theological ideas and thoughts and everything were explained well, I thought, and like all the personal interactions were well. But he was definitely being challenged by the Edgar Allan Poe guy and never once like gave in, which maybe it's good. Maybe I think I would have liked to see like one back and forth, little something.
Like literally just asking him like why do you think that? Like why? If there's no good and evil, then
something just
why do you
deep,
think that this is bad? Why
and
do you say God was
I think it
bad?
stems from the questions. The questions were too basic.
Yeah,
probably.
But yeah, I mean, I could see him wanting to be like gentle and like not getting into like.
See ya.
I mean, you're not going to argue anyone for sure.
Phil, do you know about the channel?
Leaving?
Yeah. Do you know about the channel? What happened?
Have you seen the? We're filming this Jubilee.
All right,
video.
so closing thoughts are Christ is King, not Satan.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments, I would love to respond to them. Love to continue the discussion below.
A girl in the video responded to that.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.
Yeah. See ya.
Everybody else is checked out.
See ya. See ya. It's a long one.